What's up everyone, my name is Benji and welcome back to Best FPL Captain, the weekly series where I analyze data from the 4 best captaincy options and then I rank the players from first place to third with one guy earning the wildcard spot. If you take absolutely any insight out of this one at all, then hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, thinking cap activated. As always, we'll begin with a review of last game week rankings, and last week it was a mixed bag. I nailed the top spot for the second week in a row with Erling Haaland scoring a hat-trick, but it was pretty obvious that was going to happen. I put Isak over Salah in second place, which was the wrong choice. Elsewhere, Son Heung-min in the wildcard spot did very well. He finished on 16 points, only one away from the robot. I'm sure you were very happy if you did captain Sonny Boy. But overall, got the first place right again. That's the goal. We get that first place right. Hopefully, we can improve on the rankings to come. Next up, it's the Game Week 3 options. Let's take a look at this week's captain shortlist. Beside me, I've got all of the players and their fixture information. Saka has Brighton at home on Saturday. It's the early kickoff. Haaland plays West Ham a little bit later. And then on Sunday, there's 2 options. Cole Palmer is playing at Stamford Bridge against Crystal Palace. And Mo Salah has the toughest fixture in Game Week 3, Man United at Old Trafford. On paper, Palmer has the best fixture with Crystal Palace, who have just sold Joachim Anderson to Fulham, and their covering centre-back Riyad just picked up an injury in the Carabao Cup. Mo Salah tops the projected minutes matrix. He's predicted to play 90. The second best minutes is Erling Haaland with 88. Both Saka and Palmer are predicted to receive the worst minutes with 85 expected. Chelsea are playing today in the Conference League. If Palmer receives no minutes in that game, his expected minutes should shoot up into the high 80s. Now, it's expected points, provided by FPL Review. This doesn't give you a direct indication of how many points exactly a player is going to score, but it gives you hints on who the analytical models are backing to score the highest. Haaland tops the Game Week 3 projections with 7.33, followed by Cole Palmer on 6.88. Salah's expected is at 6.22, and Saka's is at 6.29, both much further away from the other two. The analytical stats are telling us that Haaland and Palmer are the 2 standout candidates for them. Let's begin the captain analysis. First thing we're going to take a look at is how the players have performed in their Game Week 3 fixture previously. First, it's Haaland. He scored 3 goals in 2 starts against West Ham away from home. He hasn't blanked in this fixture yet, and he's recorded 1 double-digit haul, a 13-point brace in 2022-23. This is one of Haaland's most preferred fixtures in the Prem. Mo Salah has got an extremely impressive record when playing at Old Trafford. He scored 6 goals in 6 starts with 1 massive 24-point haul coming a couple of seasons ago. He's blanked 2 times in that fixture. However, the last 4 games he's faced United away, Salah has returned in every single one. Cole Palmer hasn't played against Crystal Palace at home in the Premier League, but he did face them away from home last season, where he registered 2 assists for a 10-point haul. Bukayo Saka has the worst historical record ahead of his Game Week 3 fixture. It's 3 starts and 0 goal involvements versus Brighton at home. Next, we're taking a look at how these players have performed in the past on their upcoming game day. Cole Palmer started 6 Premier League matches at home on Sunday. In those 6, he's registered 5 attacking returns. However, it's 0 double-digit hauls for Palmer. This doesn't mean he can't hit double digits, but it tells us there are other game days he prefers to play in. His blank percentage is the best on this list. He's returned in 83% of his Sunday matches, but keep in mind he's only played 6. Haaland has returned 8 goals in 12 starts. His average points per start for Saturday away matches sits at 5.8. That's the worst out of all of the 4 players in this category. He's gotten 2 double-digit hauls, and his blank percentage at 33% is a touch better than Salah's and Saka's. Salah has 28 GA in 31 Sunday away starts. His return rate ranks first in this category at 0.9. This is quite impressive because he's played way more games than the other options. He also ranks first in average points per start, but he has the worst blank percentage, tied with Bukayo Saka. Saka has the worst return rate as well. He's averaging 0.73 goal involvements per start in home games on Saturday. However, if you look at what he's produced in his last 5 home games on Saturday, you might be a bit surprised. 3 double-digit hauls in 5 suggests a higher likelihood for Saka explosivity in Gameweek 3. The final analysis category is the game time comparison, which helps us determine which player has the strongest preferences towards their upcoming fixture. Haaland's historical data for 5:30 p.m. away games shows the strongest signs for haul potential and reliability. He's averaging 8.4 points per start, which is almost a whole point more compared to the other options. He's never blanked in a 5:30 p.m. away game, and he's returned 7 in goal involvements in 5 starts. Haaland's game time data indicates that he likes the 5:30 p.m. game time, and historically he's been very consistent in those matches. Combine this with Erling's current form and his superb record against West Ham, Haaland will be a great option for captaincy in Game Week 3. Bukayo Saka has the second strongest set of data. He's returned 7 GA in 7 starts when playing at home in the early kickoff. He's also put up 3 double-digit hauls in these 7 starts, and even though his blank percentage is second worst, he still returned in 86% of the games he started at midday. Saka is usually a player who consistently ticks over points rather than exploding with tons of goals or assists in one game. The fact that he has returned 3 double-digit hauls in his last 5 12:30 p.m. game kickoffs, it's a very, very promising sign. Palmer has only played 3 home games at 1:30, but he's put up 2 goals and an assist in those 3. Good consistency from the Polar Bear. He's yet to blank at 1:30, which suggests one Palmer return looks highly probable this week. Finally, Mo Salah. He has 20 GA from 20 starts in 4:30 p.m. away games, just showing how consistent Mo has really been. His blank percentage is way higher than any of the other players, which suggests Salah Game Week 3 captain is a decision which is pretty risky. His average points are quite high, which is suggestive of potential explosivity, and if you look at his last 5 starts, he did score 15 points a couple of games ago. Before we go into the Game Week 3 rankings, let's do a quick risk assessment analysis. It's important to gauge where the player base will be putting their armband so you can make the best captain decision. In any competitive game, knowing your opponent's moves before you actually make your own is an advantage, and FPL is no different to that. The lowest risk captain this week will be Haaland after the hat-trick. Most people will captain him if they own him. This also means you don't gain as much from Haaland cap compared to a Bukayo Saka cap because less people will own Saka and less people will be willing to captain Saka this week, making his points more effective against your opponents because less FPL players will have access to those points. The same can be said for Mohamed Salah, as I don't think many people will be captaining him against Man United. Some will, but not many at all, which means that if Salah does score better than Haaland, you're going to be gaining a lot of rank. Right in the middle of the risk is Palmer. He's at medium risk, medium gain as well. I'm expecting him to be the second most captain player this game week, and he's also higher owned than Salah and Saka, which lessens his gain compared to them. Palmer's just bagged a 17-pointer as well, and with Palace looking to be there for the taking, he will have a lot of people giving him the armband in Game Week 3. Now, before we get into the Game Week 3 rankings, you need to know that these rankings could change. Captaincy means we need to access and process the maximum amount of information so we can make the best, most informed decision. If my rankings do change before the Game Week 3 deadline based on leaks, injuries, or press conference news, I'll be posting an updated rankings on all of my social platforms, so make sure to follow me on any of my socials. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, so go follow at least one of those accounts. The link to them is in the video description. Find the link tree and you'll find it. Starting with the wildcard spot, I've got Mohamed Salah, the fixture of United away. It's just too risky for captaincy, and yes, he has holed at Old Trafford in the past, but that game, it's just too hard to gauge right now. I'd argue it's the toughest game to predict out of all of the fixtures this weekend. I have devalued Salah's historical record against United because he did those things when he was under Klopp, and now he's under Arne Slot, who has a mixed history against Ten Hag. Some of them were low-scoring games, some of them were high-scoring games, and there were a mix of wins, draws, and losses between the two managers. I don't think it's the game week for Salah captain, in my opinion, but if your risk appetite is high and if you think United are looking proper dog shit, go for the wildcard captain this week. By all means. Son returned 16 points in that spot last game week, and Haaland with 7 points the week before that, so if your risk appetite is high, go for the Salah cap. I think he can do decent, but it's just, I can't really gauge that game, which is why I've put him in the wildcard spot. It's too much risk for me to put him in the top 3. Talking about the top 3, let's move into the best captain for Game Week 3, in my opinion, is Erling Haaland versus West Ham. I don't care about the risk. I really don't. I couldn't give a shit. And you're not going to gain as much as you would if you're on a soccer cap this week, but with the form that Haaland's in, even Pep said it himself, he's never seen Haaland so sharp while he's been at City. The summer break with no international football has benefited him. Haaland has scored 16 goals in 10 Premier League appearances in August. He's averaging a goal every 52 minutes in August. That's the best minutes per goal percentage ratio, by any player in a particular month in Premier League history. And look, the West Ham game, it's his final game in August against a team that he really likes to play against. Historically, we saw that with the data. And West Ham, they just put out a very strong lineup in the Carabao Cup. I watched bits of that match, and their defense was actually leaking a lot of chances. Mavropanos and Todibo looked particularly poor, and if Haaland is to be kept out of the score sheet, one of those two will need to have a very, very good game, at least an 8 out of 10, if not a 9 out of 10 performance. So all of these things combined makes Haaland the best captain, in my opinion, for Game Week 3. Now, what should you do if you don't own Haaland? The second best captain for Game Week 3 is Bukayo Saka, which leaves Cole Palmer in the third spot. This was a really, really close decision, and depending on how many minutes Cole plays in the Conference League, perhaps there might be a late change coming to the captain rankings this game week, so make sure you're following at least one of my socials to get the latest info. But both Palmer and Saka have massive game potential, as the majority of the player base will be on Haaland. Some of them, they don't even own one of them, but I am backing Saka over Cole because historically Saka is showing strong signs of explosivity in the early kickoff. Palmer's a great option too, but I don't think Glasner's an idiot. And look, I've looked on Twitter, everyone's saying Palace are terrible, Palmer's a great option at captain. I don't think their defense has just regressed overnight. And if you look at how Glasner performed last season in his away games, they were all pretty low scoring. Palace have lost some of their good players, but I don't think they're just going to go out there and get smashed. But I do think there's a couple goals in that game for sure. I also think it's much tougher to predict where the bonus points are going to fall in that Chelsea game versus the Arsenal game. Chelsea have been scoring a lot, and that's seen the goal involvement in Chelsea matches spread around throughout their attackers, whereas we know that if Saka gets a goal, for sure, or it's very highly likely, he's going to be in the bonus points, at least 1 or 2 points. Both of them, they do have the same expected minutes, so it's a very close call. And that is a wrap on my Game Week 3 Best Captain. If you did enjoy this one, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and let me know who you're captaining in Game Week 3. Peace.